Whenever I step into that recording booth, the absolute goal is perfection, to create a record that outshines everything I have produced before. It is a constant hunt for that next gold record, and for nearly half a century, George Strait has remained the industry's ultimate enigma. He is a titan who prefers melodies over monologues, shattering industry ceilings and constructing a musical dynasty without ever raising his voice. He managed all of this while keeping his personal world under lock and key, but now at 74 years old, the king of country is finally breaking his silence. The bombshell he just dropped has the entire fan base reeling. Whether it was gossip about Tinseltown contracts or stunning professional pivots, Strait always sidestepped the noise. He spent years ignoring the grapevine, yet there is one persistent whisper, a debate that has raged for decades, that he has finally decided to tackle head on. He addressed it directly, and honestly, nobody saw this coming. So what exactly did the cowboy finally confess to the world? More importantly, how does this confession reshape his future? You better sit down for this one, folks, because the reality is far more massive than you could imagine. Let's dive into the enigma surrounding the king of country. Over the years, people have slapped plenty of labels on George Strait, legend, icon, and absolute royalty of the genre. But the one thing you can never call him is an open book. While the vast majority of Nashville superstars chase the cameras and crave the attention, Strait has remained staunchly guarded, ensuring his family life stays light years away from the grocery store gossip rags, even when he was at the absolute zenith of his celebrity. He sidestepped the circus, barely agreeing to sit-downs and completely ghosting the world of social media, and this calculated silence has only poured gasoline on the fires of curiosity, causing listeners to analyse every detail from potential retirement announcements to hidden personal battles, unlike the typical modern performers who live and die by self-promotion. Strait has forced the audience to listen to the songs, cultivating an atmosphere of intrigue that has grown thicker with every passing year, and a massive chunk of that mystique is rooted in his authentic dirt road Texan upbringing and his refusal to complicate things. He turned his back on the glitz of Hollywood and the hustle of Nashville, choosing a sprawling ranch in the Lone Star State safe from prying eyes, where he could just focus on raising his cattle. Despite being one of the most commercially successful acts to ever grace the genre, he has clung tight to his roots, still sporting the same resistal hat, the starched Wranglers, and that velvet voice that launched him to superstardom way back when, while his peers in the industry are desperate to ride the latest wave. Strait's refusal to change only cements his legendary status. Naturally, the grapevine has been buzzing for ages about clandestine rivalry songs locked in a vault, or decisions that could kill a career. Yet the one thing that is crystal clear is that George Strait couldn't care less about being famous, because for him, the melody always takes precedence. Even with his reserved demeanour and hermetic lifestyle, George Strait's fingerprint on country music is absolutely seismic. His track record has obliterated history books and set a new bar for success that very few musicians could even hallucinate about achieving. Let's talk about that record-breaking resume, because George Strait isn't simply a staple of the genre. He is a statistical juggernaut whose milestones have established a benchmark that is virtually impossible to replicate. Racking up an unbelievable 60 number one hits, he sits on the throne for the most chart toppers in the history of country music, but his dominance goes way deeper than radio play. With over 100 million records moved globally, he stands as one of the highest selling performers in history, transcending genre lines entirely. He kicked things off with Unwound back in 1981, but it was actually foolhardy memory in 1982 that secured his first trip to the top of the charts, igniting a career for the ages. And he is also the solitary artist to score a top 10 smash every single year for more than 30 years, a testament to his unparalleled reliability and immortality in the business. From snagging the CMA Entertainer of the Year trophy 3 times in 1989, again in 90, and shockingly in 2013, to clutching the record For the most wins at the ACM Strait's reign as the king is supported by cold hard data and an endless trophy case, but his command extends well beyond the recording booth. Strait is a bona fide touring phenomenon when it comes to live spectacles. Back in 2014, he shattered attendance records during the finale of his Cowboy Rides Away tour at AT&T Stadium, where a staggering crowd of more than 104,000 devotees packed the building. It remains the largest indoor concert event in the history of North America. Strait didn't stop there. He continued to pack stadiums and sell out his Las Vegas residency, even after officially retiring from the grind of full-time touring, proving that his star power hasn't dimmed one bit. While plenty of other acts fade into obscurity, Strait's capacity to stay on top without chasing fads or radically altering his sound speaks absolute volumes about his enduring influence. Now, while George Strait is globally revered for his musical stats, fans have spent years speculating if he ever truly contemplated trading his guitar for a script in Hollywood. His biggest splash on the silver screen happened in 1992 when he took the lead role in Pure Country, a movie that evolved into a certified cult classic for the genre's faithful. While Strait's easygoing charisma made him a surprisingly convincing leading man, he later confessed that he felt like a fish out of water in front of the cameras, unlike other crossover stars who desperately pivot into full-blown acting careers. Strait never chased Tinseltown glory, even though producers threw offers for more movie gigs his way. He has gone on record stating that while filming Pure Country was a fun ride, his heart belongs to the music and the film industry just wasn't his scene. Still, the rumour mill runs wild, wondering what could have been, and word on the street is that Strait was actually at one point eyed for gritty Western roles, and there is even a strong belief that he was tapped for a cameo in the massive hit series Yellowstone. This show is a tribute that doesn't just nod to the cowboy lifestyle, it practically worships the ground George Strait walks on, even though he's never publicly thrown shade about it. The message is loud and clear. Strait has absolutely zero regrets about leaving the Hollywood circus behind. As a notoriously private guy, Strait has always chosen a quiet existence on his Texas ranch over the neon glare and noise of Tinseltown. For a legend like Strait, chasing after headlines and clout was never part of the game plan. It was always strictly about the melodies, the loyal fan base, and staying authentic to his true self. Now let's get into the real story of Strait's marriage. Beneath the massive career is a romance that puts modern flings to shame, an enduring love saga spanning 50-plus years with Norma Strait. Unlike the endless parade of celebrities whose relationships crumble under the spotlight's heat, George and Norma have stood tall as an unshakable private power couple through every storm. Their story kicked off way back in Pearsall, Texas, where they were just high school sweethearts with big dreams. However, the road wasn't always paved with gold. They actually hit a rough patch and split up briefly, only to realise they were absolutely miserable apart. In 1971, they eloped in Mexico, making that lifelong vow way before Strait had a clue he'd end up as the king of country. As his fame exploded and his career skyrocketed, Norma wasn't trying to steal the camera. She stood firmly by his side, avoiding the limelight to be his ultimate anchor and stabiliser. In 1986, their bond faced the ultimate nightmare with the tragic loss of their 13-year-old daughter Jennifer in a car wreck. This devastating blow shattered Strait's world. He completely vanished from the media circuit, refusing interviews for years as a way to process that unimaginable grief away from prying eyes. Instead of letting that darkness tear them apart, George and Norma clung even tighter to one another, finding resilience in their bond and family. They also channeled their pain into a legacy, creating a foundation to honour the memory of their daughter, called the Jennifer Strait Memorial Foundation, which quietly funnels cash into children's charities without seeking applause. Strait almost never talks about this deeply personal struggle, but in a rare moment confessed that Norma was his absolute rock. during those hellish years. If anything, their capacity to survive such a crushing tragedy is proof that their connection and relationship were bulletproof. Over the decades, the tabloids have tried to stir the pot, with rumours of a troubled marriage popping up here and there, but Strait has never given those trashy stories the time of day. He has consistently praised Norma as the backbone of his entire life and career. He still calls her the first girl I ever loved, even after spending decades waking up next to her, and he remains fiercely loyal to the woman who has been right there since the days before he was a household name. A marriage like that is a living testament that true love, trust and grit can weather even the fiercest hurricanes, while George Strait's songs have chronicled some of the most epic romances in country history. His real-life love story with Norma might just take the crown as the most inspiring of them all. Whispered health concerns. As we hit 2026, the 74-year-old icon continues to dominate the stage with those signature smooth vocals and that effortless swagger. But the rumour mill has been buzzing about his health in recent years. Fans have been gossiping online, wondering if his choice to ditch full-time touring was secretly due to serious medical issues rather than just a desire to chill out. While Strait has never publicly addressed any major health scares, sources have hinted at chronic back trouble and vocal strain, standard battle scars for artists who have spent 50 years performing live. His incredibly selective schedule, which is basically just a few stadium gigs and a limited Las Vegas residency, has added fuel to the fire that he is prioritising serious rest and recovery instead of pushing his body to the limit on a grueling tour bus. However, those in Strait's inner circle quickly deny these negative rumours. They insist the man is healthy, happy and simply enjoying the fruits of his labour after a lifetime of being on the road. And honestly, recent performances, including record-smashing nights at the Houston Rodeo and his Vegas residency, prove that he still packs the same punch and vocal power that turned him into a legend, according to the man himself. He has simply outgrown the exhausting lifestyle of highway travel and wants the freedom to play strictly when the mood strikes him. While the fan base might be wringing their hands over his well-being, all signs point to Strait being in total control of his career, his health and his energy levels to guarantee that every time he steps into the spotlight, he's bringing his very best. George Strait's financial empire. With a career stretching over 4 decades, Strait hasn't just made hits. He's built a financial fortress that goes way beyond country music. We are talking about an estimated net worth that tops $300 million, making him one of the richest heavyweights in the entire industry, while a huge chunk of that cash comes from record sales, sold-out tours and royalties from 60 #1 smash hits. Strait is also a shark in the boardroom who has made savvy moves to grow his wealth. He has dropped serious money into real estate, including a jaw-dropping custom mansion in San Antonio that hit the market for $7.5 million. But it didn't stop at music and land. Strait also jumped into the liquor game, launching his own premium tequila brand, Código 1530, which has become a top-shelf favourite among country fans. And unlike the typical Hollywood A-listers who flash their cash at every opportunity, George Strait keeps his boots firmly planted in Texas soil. While the rest of the celebrity world is flocking to Los Angeles, chasing glitz and glamour, the king of country would much rather be out on his ranch tending to his cattle and staying completely out of the drama. But don't think for a second that he is just hoarding all that massive wealth for himself. The man is legendary for his quiet generosity and has dropped millions into charities without making a fuss. The cause closest to his heart is the Jennifer Strait Memorial Foundation, a touching tribute to his late daughter that pours resources into helping children in need. He also steps up big time when it comes to disaster relief efforts, supporting our military veterans and funding crucial medical research projects. Sure, he might not be out there buying golden toilets or private islands, but George's massive success means he gets to call the shots and live life exactly how he wants to. He has mastered the art of supporting the things he loves while remaining an absolute titan in both the music industry and the business world. Now, George Strait has largely built his empire as a solo act standing alone in the spotlight, but word on the street is that he has had plenty of chances to team up behind closed doors. We are talking about potential collaborations with some of the biggest icons in music history, many of which have been locked away and never shared with the public. For years, the rumour mill has been spinning out of control about a secret vault of unreleased duets and projects that Strait either recorded and shelved or flat out turned down. One of the most heartbreaking what-ifs in country history is the rumour that he was deep in talks to cut a record with the legendary Merle Haggard, but the stars just never aligned. Tragically, their busy schedules kept clashing right up until Haggard passed away in 2016, leaving us all wondering what that masterpiece would have sounded like. Then there is the bombshell rumour that Queen Bey herself, Beyoncé, approached George for a collaboration during her country-themed Lemonade era. But get this, he reportedly said no. Strait decided to stick to his guns and his traditional country roots rather than crossing over into pop territory, leaving fans to wonder just how many other hidden gems exist. Just imagine what is gathering dust in his archives. While some of these collaborations never happened, others might actually be recorded and sitting there as well-kept secrets. We know for a fact that Strait quietly recorded several tracks penned by the incredible Chris Stapleton, which adds a whole new layer of intrigue to the story. He cut songs like Love's Gonna Make It All Right and You Don't Know What You're Missing, which only throws more fuel on the fire of speculation. Fans are convinced there is a treasure trove of unreleased material between those two, and some insiders even whisper about a secret project with Alan Jackson. Legend has it, they recorded a studio duet that never saw the light of day, even though we have seen these two giants share the stage for live performances. We have seen them together many times, but Strait is notoriously perfectionist about what he releases, so if there is a secret vault hidden somewhere on his ranch, good luck hearing it. It could be a very long time before any of those secret recordings make their way to his die-hard fans, leaving the country music world in a constant state of suspense. For now, we just have to sit back and speculate about what could have been, hoping that one day Strait decides to bless us with a surprise drop. Speaking of legendary moments, let's talk about that unforgettable farewell tour that wrapped up in 2014 when George announced The Cowboy Rides Away. The world stopped. Everyone knew it was going to be big, but nobody could have predicted just how historically massive and emotional that final run would turn out to be. It was a 2-year marathon hitting 47 cities, designed as the ultimate grand finale for one of the most iconic careers country music has ever seen. George didn't just book venues. He handpicked every single stop to make sure he could personally say goodbye to the fans who had his back. For decades, these fans supported him, and he paid them back with a tour that climaxed in a record-shattering final show at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. We are talking about over 104,000 screaming fans packing the place, setting the record for the largest indoor concert in North American history. The night was stacked with A-list guest appearances from stars like Miranda Lambert, Alan Jackson, and Kenny Chesney, all singing along to a set list of pure hits. Hearing classics like Amarillo by Morning and The Cowboy Rides Away in that setting was an emotional, once-in-a-lifetime experience that left grown men in tears. But here is the kicker: fans soon realised that the farewell tour wasn't actually the end of George Strait. He was just done with the tour bus lifestyle. He never really walked away from the microphone. Instead, in 2016, he launched his Straight to Vegas residency show. That show is an absolute juggernaut that still sells out years later, and he even sprinkled in a few massive stadium gigs, including a record-breaking run. He crushed it at the Houston Rodeo in 2019, proving once again that the demand for George Strait's music is stronger than ever. So while the Cowboy Rides Away tour marked the end of an era of grueling travel, it wasn't a goodbye. It was George rewriting the rules. He is managing his career entirely on his own terms now. Remember when he announced his retirement from touring back in 2012? People were absolutely stunned because after dominating the charts for over 4 decades, Strait made it sound like it was all over. He said the 2014 tour would be his last full-fledged run. And for a minute, we all thought the king was hanging up his hat for good. However, George was actually very specific. He wasn't retiring from music, he was just retiring from the exhausting, soul-sucking grind. He was done with the months of long nationwide travel and wanted to spend more time with his grandkids and relax on his Texas ranch. He wanted the freedom to focus only on the projects that truly excited him, and as we have seen, the King of Country is nowhere near finished. The idea of him fully retiring seems less likely by the day because right after he parked the tour bus, he found a brilliant new way to work. He found a way to stay connected with his massive fan base without living on the road. His Strait to Vegas residency kicked off in 2016. It became an instant smash hit, proving he could make the fans travel to him and sell out arenas without moving an inch. On top of that, he continues to stack up these special one-night-only stadium shows, keeping the legend alive and well. You cannot ignore his record-shattering rodeo performance back in Houston in 2019 or his massive sold-out headline concerts that have been taking over major cities recently. On top of all that touring success, Strait actually dropped a killer album back in 2019 titled Honky Tonk Time Machine, proving he still has the golden touch. That release was a massive signal to the industry that he is still very much interested in making music, even though the rumour mill had fans terrified he was about to quit recording forever. But George shut down the gossip, hinting that he is always open to heading back into the studio to drop new tracks whenever the timing feels perfect to him. So is the King of Country actually retiring this time around? Don't bet on it. While he might be done with those exhausting year-long tours, he is certainly not walking away. He is still churning out hits and popping up at exclusive venues, keeping his legendary status burning bright exactly on his own terms. Unlike so many other superstars who announce a retirement and then basically vanish off the face of the earth, Strait has mastered the art of the semi-retirement lifestyle. This approach gives him the ultimate power move, the total freedom to jump on stage whenever, wherever and however he feels like it. Even as George Strait spends less time on the tour bus, his massive shadow over the country music industry is only getting bigger and more influential every single day. It leaves millions of dedicated fans asking the same question: what is this icon's legacy going to look like in the future? Let's talk about the enduring power of George Strait. You simply cannot match George Strait's grip on country music. His influence is absolute, and his legend is somehow getting even stronger with time. We're talking about 60 #1 hits and over 100 million records sold across a career that has stretched more than 4 decades, numbers that are just mind-blowing. He has set the bar so high that it is doubtful anyone will ever touch his records, and his timeless sound is essentially the blueprint for a whole new generation of stars. Big names like Chris Stapleton, Cody Johnson and Parker McCollum all bow down to Strait, crediting him as the main reason traditional country music is still breathing today. Even while mainstream radio chases pop trends and snap tracks, Strait's catalogue remains the absolute gold standard of what real country is supposed to sound like. His classic anthems are still crushing it on streaming platforms and playlists everywhere, proving he does not need to chase viral trends to stay relevant. His music has stood the test of time, serving as a permanent monument to the power of authentic, no-nonsense country storytelling. Even though he has stepped back from the crazy grind of national touring, he still knows exactly how to shock and thrill his audiences. He is filling up massive stadiums and even rocking his own exclusive Las Vegas residency, the famous Strait to Vegas shows. Every single time those arenas are packed to the rafters with screaming fans desperate to catch a glimpse of his live magic one more time. You can bet your bottom dollar there are going to be more exclusive live concerts coming down the pipeline in the near future. The fan base is also buzzing with anticipation for new tunes, especially after the massive success of his last album, Honky Tonk Time Machine, back in 2019. And here is the juicy part. Rumours are swirling that we might finally get a tell-all documentary or a Hollywood biopic to really dig deep into his private life and career. No matter what happens next, one thing is set in stone. George Strait's legacy is locked in as one of the most important chapters in music history. So there you have it, folks, the real scoop straight from the King of Country's world. What is your take on George finally clearing the air on these rumours? Drop your thoughts in the comments because we want to hear from you. If you love this deep dive, smash that like button, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another juicy update on your favourite country legends. And if you are craving more secrets about George Strait and other icons of the genre, go ahead and click on the video popping up on your screen right now.